There is always give and take in a relationship, but if you tend to give more love than you get, your relationship begins to become unbalanced. And that leads to really big issues that are really difficult to repair. I am going to share the signs of overgiving, the consequences of giving more than you get, and how you can restore balance if you give more than you get in relationships. What are some of the signs of overgiving? Number one, you would do anything for them, but they wouldn't do the same for you. If you're a person who would drop everything for the other person, but when you ask them for a small favor, like, can you put the food up tonight before I get home, and they don't do it, that's a sign of you overgiving. Number two, you do most of the talking. The relationship is really not being carried by both people giving and taking in communication. You're the one who starts the hard conversations. You're the one asking, how was your day? What's happening? Number three, you know their favorite things, but they don't know yours. And I've shared this story before, but when I was married, my ex-husband would buy me ice cream cakes in his favorite flavor, but he had no idea what mine was. Or he'd buy me a dress because his mother picked it out and it had nothing to do with who I was and my taste. And number four, you continue to say things like, oh, that's okay. That's just the way they are, when they don't come through for you. So what are the consequences of giving more love than you get? Number one, you're drained, you're exhausted. It is really tiring to be the one who's always giving. Number two, you become resentful over time. You're giving, 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 and why aren't they giving? And number three, you are giving permission to your partner to be selfish, to be lazy, to not give. And that is a big issue when you were the one who's giving, giving, giving. So what do you do? How do you restore balance if you are the primary giver and you give more love than you get? Number one, discover why you're an overgiver. Number two, think before you give. Just pause before you're giving. So the first one is you're going to go back into, why did you become this overgiver? What's behind it? Are you giving from your heart? Are you giving to get? So that's why you want to pause and think before you give. Number three, ask for help. Ask for what you want. Most overgivers never ask. They just assume that if you loved me, you would give me what I give you. Number four, set new agreements with your partner or your date about them doing more and stepping up more, and see if they can do it. And number five is to look at what happens after you've set those agreements and assess whether or not this relationship is something you want to stay in. Notice how your partner responds to your request for stepping up in the relationship, and give them some time to make those changes, because it can take time. If they begin to give more and some balance is restored to the relationship, you'll have an equitable relationship. But if they don't make changes, it might be time to reassess whether this is a relationship that you want to stay in. And once you realize and amend your own pattern of overgiving, all of your relationships are going to become healthier, from your friendships to your family to work and romantic relationships. So stop overgiving, start having more balanced relationships, and eventually you will go on your last first date.